to Lessons Learnt. I'm Sherry. This is Finish It Friday, and ooh, it's cold outside. Let's start a fire. So I put my rag quilt in the washer and dryer, and it is even more cozy than it was the last time that I showed you. So this wraps up really good, and I'm glad I made it longer because look, I can wrap myself up in it. Yeah. Or I could put it long ways, either way. But here she is, all finished. Let me spread it out in front of the camera so you can see. Here you go, you get the idea. All done. And the back, 2 shades of blue. Alright, so you saw this a little bit on Monday. And now it's completely done and ready to use. The other quilt that I did this week, if you watched the Wednesday video, you saw this on the long arm as I was teaching how to pull up your bobbin thread and how to baste your quilt down. This is pressed flowers from this year's, well, the Sew Sampler Box Sew Along that ended in March, April of this year. This is all finished, and I'm going to put a picture up right here of when I first got it off the long arm, and there you can see the full view of it. But I also wanted to show you close up the quilting. Love the quilting on this one. It's another new pattern that I found on my Pro Stitcher, and it's just very rounded feathers and swirls in there. I hope you can see those. I used white thread. I used a natural white thread. Gray would have been good too. I was kind of going between the two, a light gray, and that would have looked good in the white as well, but you would have seen it a little more. This way the white shows up a little more on the gray. That gives you a good idea right there of what it is. It's called Capri Feathers. And I don't have it bound, but I learned a lesson. I had made binding, thinking I was doing a good thing, back when I got this finished. And now I don't like it because back then I didn't know what backing I was going to use. And I ended up using this. It's like names and postmarks and whatnot. And I had like a red checker binding ready for it, and I don't like it. So I think I'm going to find, I'm pretty sure I have another piece of this. I think I'm going to find this gray and do it in that. So those are the 2 finishes that I got done. I also got all of the memory blocks done for the memory quilt. So I'm ready to go ahead and get some sashing on those and start putting rows together, and before long I will have that little project completed. I also made the backing for the Anne of Green Gables. I'm not going to show you that yet, but I did piece the backing. I used some of those half square triangles to come up with a little design for going through the middle of the backing on that quilt. So that will be put on the long arm this weekend or early next week and get done by the end of the year. I think it'll be done by the end of the year. If not, it'll be, depending on, what day I have to pay close attention to it. It might be, the 1st of January. I don't know, but I think I'll probably get into that this weekend and at least get it loaded on, and maybe Monday or so I'll be stitching that out and have it done for the end of the year and for next week. So I'm really excited for that one. I think that's probably my favorite quilt that I did all year, and so we're coming to the end of that one, so that's exciting. I've started doing a few of my 16 patch with my new color. I don't have a full block done yet, but I've done a few pairs. So we're going to be putting some of those the proverbial we, that would be me. I'm going to be putting some some blocks together just for some fun here these last few days of 2024. So let's get into your finishes. There's quite a few. And I was surprised that there was quite a few, but you guys really came through on that part because I just thought it would be pretty dry this week. But no, you've come up with a lot of things to show. So let's see here. Let me get to the email here and we will see what is in line here. The first one that I have is from Mark. Mark has sent us some wonderful finishes before, and he's got another one here. And he says, "Hi Sherry, here's a quilt from the Barnstar Sampler book. It measures around 66 by 90, and I broke into my Tilda stockpile for this one." Yes, you did. Some of those I don't really recognize. So you've got some prints from before I was into Tilda, and that made a really nice quilt. I don't remember the name of it, but I do remember those blocks from the Barnstar Sampler. Those two blocks were in the Barnstar Sampler. And then this is one of the other patterns in the Barnstar Sampler book. If you like Mark's quilt here, and you have the book, you are able to make a quilt like this. And I like how in your the stars, or the stars that have the darker blue in them, how you've put the white diamonds around the center block, and it creates kind of like a beam of light there off of your quilt. That is a really cool effect. And the sashing, not the sashing, but the outer edges of the blocks are kind of doing that too. So that is really, really pretty. I need to get my Barnstar Sampler quilt book out again and maybe make up something else from that book. Great job, Mark. Thanks for sending that in. Tamara has a couple quilts here that are horse themed. The first one says, "Hi Sherry, I made this quilt for my dear friend. She lives in Indiana. It's made from Northcott fabrics. The horse panel is named Spirited and pattern Run With Me. I used the wood grain quilt pantograph to give it a western finish. She absolutely loved it, and Bullet, her horse, loved it too." And this is Tammy from Louisville, my neighbor. So yeah, that is a great panel. I've seen this panel before, and I love how you've incorporated the turquoise in your side diamonds there. That really pulls out the background from the horse panel. Great job on that. And then the other one, it's the same panel, but a different configuration on her outer edges there. She says, "Hi Sherry, I made this wall quilt with a Northcott panel and fabric left over from a quilt I made earlier." I'm assuming the other one. "The backing shows the wood grain quilting quite well. I will hang this up for Derby time. Thanks for sharing, Tammy from Louisville." Yes, that'll make a great wall hanging for that time of the year, and great use of fabrics to be able to get two quilts out of one set of fabrics. That is awesome. Dolores has been busy again. She put together a rag quilt with some flannels. She says this is a 36-inch square rag quilt made with 4 charm packs of farmhouse flannels by Primitive Gatherings. Used scrap 4-inch pieces of polyester batting in each one, and used 1/2-inch seam allowances in hers. And Dolores's quilt here is what inspired me to do my rag quilt that I just showed you. So thanks for inspiring me, and I love your quilt. I told her this looks like a box of chocolates. Don't you think so? I have all the different stages of her quilt on here too, if you'll notice. She has it sewn together on the back. You can see the back there, how it's sewn, and then also ragged but not washed yet, and then finally her washed and dried version. It's a neat process. I love it. Cheryl, she says, this is another finish. This is a scrappy baby boy quilt made from 2.5-inch squares, stitched into 4 patches and 3.5-inch squares. Somehow the scrappy square container still looks just as full. Hey, I know what you're talking about, Cheryl. I may need to make a few more baby quilts, she says. I quilted this on my domestic machine. Thank you for your encouraging videos. Happy quilting, Cheryl in Ontario, Canada. This turned out great. Scrappy is awesome. And with the blues, that just made the theme just right for a baby boy. Dolores emailed me later, and she had whipped up a minky blanket. This is from a kit from Sewell, where it's just a inside-out quilt. You just sew the raw edges together, flip it out, and sew that opening together, and you've got yourself an instant quilt. And it has all these cute animals on it, and we have the cow there, which is very popular lately and coming up in quilt pattern themes. Susan has a finish. She says she calls this quilt Dots Out of Control. I had to put sashing in it to give my eyes a break. This is from your mystery quilt from 2022. I changed some of the blocks. I started working on it last year, and finally it is finished. Yes, you do have a nice quilt here from the I believe I called that the mystery. What did I call that? I was trying to use all traditional quilt blocks from my quilting encyclopedia, and I think I gave you. Did I give you a color each week? I'm not sure. No, I don't think I did I? But yours is in a very organized fabric line there with the colors that you chose. They all coordinate with each other, so that is awesome. Very good. Congratulations, Susan, for getting your quilt done. It takes some time. We have to be patient with ourselves. The next one I have is from Annie. She says this is called a disappearing 4-patch. Very enjoyable and very fast. I'm not getting a lot of sewing done lately. My husband has been in a hospital in Minnesota 4.5 hours away. Now he is in rehab, which is half an hour drive away. It kind of messes up my sewing time. I finally sat down to sew because I was going through withdrawals. I'm hoping he will be home in a couple of weeks, and then I can get back to daily sewing. Well, congratulations to you too, Annie, for having such a busy schedule lately, but still keeping that desire to sew alive and finding some time to sew. And look, you've got a quilt done. It is quilted, guys. She's got this all done, and it's quite a large quilt, it looks like to me. So 2, 4, 6, 8, probably 10 by 10, something like that in your blocks. I don't know how big your blocks are, but it made a nice big quilt and a good use of leftover and scrap fabrics. Awesome. Lori says she finished this lap-size quilt as a gift for her niece, and the focus fabric was the ramen noodle print that I purchased last year with 3 solids. It wasn't until mid-September this year that I finally found the last 3 prints that I felt coordinated with the others I'd acquired over the year. It's a hand-pieced and quilted. It is hand-pieced and quilted, and took a lot of dedicated time to finish it in 3 months. But I'm so pleased with the outcome, and she was very surprised and loves it. That makes all of the long hours well worth it. I used 12 fat quarters, and the pattern is Fall Impressions by Doug Lecco, finishing at approximately 48 by 64. Instead of straight line quilting, I chose to do wavy lines to mimic noodles. I do big stitch hand quilting and used 8-weight pearl cotton for this one. It was a fun and straightforward pattern. Thank you for allowing me to share. And Lori is from Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, that just is a good lesson in patience, right? You have this feature fabric, a novelty print, ramen noodles, and you just wanted to pull out all those colors from that ramen noodle container, right? And I think you nailed it. You finally found the colors that were just right to put that quilt together. And there's nothing better than a quick fat quarter panel pattern that goes together nicely. And I admire you for taking on hand sewing your quilt and hand quilting it. Very good, very admirable. And you had that timeline as well, but you got it finished and your friend loves it. and your hand quilting. This was another thing that struck me about your quilt, is the fact that you chose to do a curvy lined quilting instead of a straight line. Straight line would have been a lot easier and faster possibly, but you've got that gentle curve in there to stay with your theme of ramen noodles. That is very, very clever. Very nice. Okay, I think that's all that I have that I can show this week. Thank you for sending those in. And always keep the guidelines in mind when you send in your finishes. And yeah, we'll just keep having this show every Friday. So keep sewing, keep on quilting, and keep on sending in your finishes. I appreciate it very much, so that we can have this quilt show every week. It's just a delight for me and for everyone else that's watching. So it's my most popular video of the week out of the 3 videos that I make. So I had another long arm video on Wednesday that's not too awfully long. If you want to go watch it just for kicks and giggles, go and watch that. I didn't have a whole lot of views on that, but it is something kind of specific, so I understand why that is. But if you would like to support the channel and go ahead and watch that all the way to the end, that would be great. And you never know, you just might get some ideas or learn something you didn't know, or start thinking about getting a long arm. I've had a lot of comments. Actually, I won't say a lot, but I've had a good amount of comments where people have said, hey, I think I can do this long arm thing. So watch those videos. You might be tempted as well to get yourself a long arm. All right, we will be back here on Monday for that very special video, getting ready for 2025, and also the giveaway for the art quilt planner. We'll be announcing the winner for that. And till then, enjoy your weekend. Get a little sewing done if you can. I have a busy weekend this weekend. I don't have a whole ton of time to sew, but I'm going to try to fit something in somewhere. All right, have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Bye.